who carried the unwritten rules of American justice in their minds for decades, and they are leaving because they believe the system's core integrity has been fatally compromised. Agency draining away before our eyes. These aren't just employees leaving for better pay. They are the institutional guardians, the ones who remember how things should work, who trained new recruits. In just under a year, nearly 3,000 attorneys have walked out the door. Let that staggering figure sink in for a moment. That's not normal. That's not retirement. That is the lifeblood of an entire... There is a silent collapse happening right now, inside the most powerful legal institution in America, and almost no one in the mainstream is talking about the true scale of the disaster. What you are about to see isn't a simple staffing issue or a minor bureaucratic shuffle. This is the systematic hollowing out of the United States Department of Justice.
Now, before I show you the devastating proof, I need you to do something. If you value truth over noise, if you want a channel that cuts through the political theater to the real story, then subscribe to Winds of Thought right now. Hit that button. This is the kind of deep investigation that gets buried, and I need you with me to make sure it doesn't. Let me describe the reality inside the DOJ, because the raw numbers alone can't convey the chaos. Imagine America's most advanced warship, a vessel built to project power and enforce order across the globe. Now, picture the seasoned officers, the navigators, the engineers, the people who know every system, all abandoning ship at once. What's left? A ghost ship, a drifting hull with a terrified skeleton crew who don't know how to operate the engines, aim the weapons, or even keep the lights on. That is the Department of Justice in this moment. We are seeing entire critical divisions lose over half their seasoned legal teams. Not transfers, resignations. These are professionals who served administrations from both parties, people who swore an oath to the Constitution, and they are quitting because they were ordered to cross bright ethical and legal lines they simply could not. Take one attorney, let's call him Daniel. He was told to provide misleading statements to a federal judge about a deportation case. A judge had issued a clear order to halt the deportation, and the administration ignored it. When Daniel refused to lie to cover it up, he was terminated. He's now a whistleblower, revealing the internal rot. This isn't politics. This is the corrosion of the rule of law. When the guardians of justice quit, who exactly is left to guard? And the fallout is immediate and terrifying. Cases are disintegrating nationwide. Prosecutors can't proceed because the attorneys who built the cases are gone. In the Capitol, felony dismissals have skyrocketed. The historic dismissal rate after filing was a fraction of 1%. Today, we're seeing rates approach 20%. 1 in 5 major criminal cases abandoned. So I ask you, who represents law and order now? It certainly isn't the faction presiding over this institutional implosion. In Los Angeles, a clear-cut case against a protester with video evidence ended in a jury refusing to convict. Why? The jury foreperson said they no longer trusted the Department of Justice to be honest. The credibility is gone.
This collapse isn't limited to small cases. Major probes into political corruption, corporate crime, and high-level misconduct are all hitting dead ends. The specialized knowledge required to untangle these complex webs has walked out the door. The expertise has evaporated. The current administration has spent a lifetime evading consequences. Now it is deliberately disabling the one mechanism designed to enforce them. Look at the pardons. This year alone, over 1,500 pardons have been granted. That list includes insurrectionists, convicted felons, former senior aides, and a financier who was under indictment by this very Justice Department months before the pardon was signed. Think about that absurdity. The DOJ investigators work for months, build a case, secure an indictment, and then the president simply erases it with a signature. What is the purpose of a Justice Department if its work can be nullified on a whim by the very person it might investigate? The message is explicit and corrosive. If you are allied with power, you operate above the law.
Everyone else is subject to it. This is not governments. This is the weaponization of clemency. And the career lawyers, the ones who joined to uphold principles, are exiting in droves. They are saying, I did not take this job for this. But here is the most dangerous consequence, the one that should alarm every single citizen. The Department of Justice isn't just losing personnel, it is sacrificing its reputation. For generations, a DOJ badge was a symbol of honor. Lawyers accepted lower salaries to serve there, driven by mission and ideals. Now it is seen as a political tool, an agency captured by a personal agenda. The best legal minds, those with options, are fleeing to private firms, to other agencies, anywhere but here. What remains is a hollow institution, inexperienced, led by political loyalists with no history, pursuing a distorted mission. Consider the handling of the sealed records from a certain financier's case. For years, the public and press have demanded full transparency, the documents, the testimonies, the evidence. The administration has obstructed, claiming files don't exist, then that certain names aren't in them, then releasing heavily censored fragments. And in those fragments, connections appear. The Justice Department manages these redactions. They control what the American people are permitted to see. Of hundreds of files, we've seen perhaps 1%. What is being hidden? This level of secrecy breeds profound distrust. When you conceal this much, people rationally conclude you have terrible things to conceal. Judges notice, juries notice. When cases appear politically motivated, when evidence seems selective, when the DOJ seems to serve a man rather than the law, the system rebels. That's why cases fail, not for lack of evidence, but for a catastrophic lack of trust. Former prosecutors are sounding alarms, calling this damage generational. It's not about the number 2,900, it's about who is leaving, the mentors, the experts in complex litigation. They are gone, and the environment left behind is often described as post-apocalyptic for a pillar of democracy. Under this administration, DOJ priorities have shifted starkly toward politically useful targets, immigration crackdowns, pursuing opponents, protecting allies. Meanwhile, traditional, vital enforcement against drug cartels, human trafficking, organized crime, and public corruption has seen resources pulled away. Gaping holes in accountability have opened. So what does this mean for you? The immediate effects are clear. Dismissed cases, delayed trials, criminals evading justice. But the long-term damage is existential. Young lawyers entering today inherit a broken culture with no mentors, no ethical leadership, no North Star. This is a crisis of function, of trust, of fundamental purpose. The systems designed to protect you are being bent to serve one man's interests. Rebuilding this will take decades, if it can be rebuilt at all. Think deeply about the nation we are becoming. When its top law enforcement agency cannot function, when its attorneys refuse to serve there, when pardons flow to the connected while ordinary citizens face the full weight of prosecution, that is not justice. That is the architecture of authoritarianism. It isn't built with traumatic coups, it's built through the slow, deliberate corruption of institutions, the dismantling of checks, the concentration of power. And when those institutions fail, when the lawyers walk away, democracy doesn't die with a bang, it fades quietly until you wake up one day in a country you no longer recognize. That process is underway right now. So what will you do? Will you keep watching? Will you stay informed and demand accountability? Or will you scroll away, too exhausted to care? That is what they are counting on. Do not give them that victory. Stay engaged, get informed, vote, speak out. The alternative is accepting a nation where justice is a commodity, where power is immunity, and where institutions exist only to serve a single individual. That is not the America any of us should accept. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. If you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe to Winds of Thought. Not for me, but for you. You deserve a source that digs for the truth beneath the headlines. We're in this conversation together. Democracy fades not with a bang, but with a quiet, collective sigh. I'll be back soon with more. Keep watching, keep thinking, keep demanding better.